another black woman in here, so y'all don't have to try to make me angry every time. Okay, spread it out a little.
Nigga, we need you to do. We need you to play your role. We talked about this on Twitter, man. Everyone has a role.
You know what? You wrong for that. Okay.
We all have.
Everybody got parts to play.
Yep. Nick is the trickster. That.
No, Nick is the snacker.
I'm a snacker / punching bag. I can do that.
Rome is the OG. Rome is the OG that says shit that everyone else is afraid to say. That's what he does.
What's my role? Damn it! I want to roll.
You got one, angry black woman.
Yeah, you already know. I don't want to piss you off.
I hate y'all so much. You don't even know.
Yeah.
You don't even know. You don't even.
Well, anyway,
get this shit. I'm here supposed to be with black people, and y'all worse than everybody else. Shit.
Hey man, we all black people, so we had that aunt, we had the cousin, the female, we had the sister. We know more than anyone. What role you're playing, Jackie? We definitely know that. But the main thing, we're live now.
I don't know what you laughing at, bro. I see you cracking up over there.
The main thing we're gonna talk about. I don't know if you guys saw the Pence versus Harris debate. That was the big thing that happened. And when I was watching it, it was kind of crazy because I'm thinking like, man, I'm spending 90 minutes watching a debate that won't impact this election one fucking bit.
Yeah.
That debate is not going to move the needle at all. But the reason why I want to talk about it,
said they were voting Trump after that debate.
What you say, Ron?
I said it had an impact. A lot of black people said they voting for Trump after that debate.
For real? I mean, Pence tried to pull the toasty on him, on Kamilah, but she didn't have to fire that toasty. He didn't have to fire that toasty he had.
Yeah, though. Like, Pence ain't got all that.
Yeah, I started when he first started attacking Kamilah over her criminal record. I'm thinking like, there's so many ways you can do that.
Fucking cyborg.
Because Kamala Harris, I'm gonna pull this data up.
I thought he was gonna get her.
Yeah, so the reason why I watched this debate,
where the fuck is my weed man?
Where's my weed man? I'm sober for 3 fucking days, and this has been horrible. I'm only operating on 3 hours of sleep right now. I can't sleep without weed, man.
Oh, no wonder you couldn't figure out your computer.
Yeah, fuck this shit. That's all I'm saying. The only thing I did was reset it and everything.
Yeah.
So did anyone actually watch the debate? Who actually seen it? Anyone
I did.
I did.
Wow, yo, I actually watched it. All right.
Yeah, I was going to, but then I had respect for myself.
That's what I said.
I
But
saved myself.
Let's get some watchers' opinions of what they saw, because I think the rest of us just saw the fly memes. I don't think we saw anything else about it.
Right. Well, one thing I did see was that both of them are terrible, which we already knew, and that fracking will not be banned under Joe Biden. That's all I needed to know. I'm not voting for your ass.
My favorite
tweet ever. That's it. That's all I know. That's all I need.
That's why I watched it. Well, I mean, I watched it because I'm a political nerd at the end of the day. So I fucking always watch this shit. But I wanted to see like how Kamala handles Pence trying to trap her the same way that Trump failed in trying to trap Joe Biden. I mean, he didn't fail, but a lot of people don't have to take away from that first debate that I think they should have. And I warned people about pushing and talking about the fly thing. Because I remember the fly thing happened. I remember when the fly flew on Pence's head. I made just one tweet out like, oh, he got fly on his head. That's funny. And that should have been it. That's it.
Yeah.
But people, you know how libs are and Twitter is in general. Everyone has to run a goddamn joke to a ground. And
you gotta run into the ground, man.
On top of that, a lot of them went full mask off. I'm looking at George Takei or whatever. I don't know.
Takai, yeah.
Takai, yeah.
I don't know shit about celebrities. Like, the worst thing about Twitter is I had to be exposed to celebrities more and more. I despise celebrities.
Just block Deborah Messing and Alyssa Milano. You'll be fine.
Dude, they both Deborah Messing and Alyssa Milano blocked me, and I didn't even know who they was.
Perfect. They did you a favor.
But I know more about Alyssa Milano than Deborah Messing, but I literally had no idea who Deborah Messing was. Like I would see people on my timeline without like quote tweeting her. They would just say, "Oh fuck Deborah Messing." I'm like, every time people say that, I'm like, I don't know who y'all guys are talking about because I would never see her tweets.
Yeah, these are all actresses. They're all actresses. It's crazy.
And then like these same celebrities are the same one that
her face. I was like, oh, this that bitch from Will and Grace.
is that what she?
I'm like, this that bitch from Will and Grace. I was like, this is why this motherfucker keep popping up on my YouTube. My fucking girl watching. I got a premium YouTube. So I'm like, why the fuck?
Yeah.
I had text him on Twitter. Like, bro, why is Will and Grace still in my damn suggestion?
She's always on Twitter. She's always on Twitter. Deborah Messing is always on Twitter.
With the worst take.
Hey, progressive Nick,
what's up?
Socialist Nick, whichever one. Martial artist.
Yeah, I know.
On Twitter or on Twitch, they're saying that your volume is really low.
Okay. All right, let me see. That's the problem. That's the thing I was worried about. Let me try and fix it here. Oh, jeez.
So I guess back to the debate. I guess the one thing that
microphones, man. Now you better buy this thing out.
Go ahead, RJ.
So, well, back to the debate. The one thing that shocked me was Kamala, because Kamala, she was a co-sponsor of the Green New Deal, so it's fairly accurate for the commentator asked her a question. You know, during your presidential run, you supported the Green New Deal, and it was fair to ask her now. And then she punted, and I'm not surprised that she did, but she punted on the question of, do you support Medicare? Not Medicare for all, the Green New Deal, and she completely punted.
Yeah.
So
wait, did she actually co-sponsor the Green New Deal? I know she co-sponsored Medicare for all.
Well, I think she did. She supported.
Is my volume better now? I made an adjustment. I'm still
it sounds somewhat better.
Give it a minute for them to answer because there's a delay.
Yeah. So I made one adjustment, but I'm still showing it slightly low. I don't know why.
I think when she was supporting all the progressive bills like a year ago, that was in preparation to run so that she could like kneecap Bernie, because I'm telling y'all, the reason why there were 20 people in that race was specifically to steal delegates so that Bernie couldn't get to 50%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that Kamala did that in preparation for that.
Right. She did co-sponsor it. I'm looking at her statement. I'm sorry. She did co-sponsor it. I'm looking at her statement on the Senate website.
We talked about that before, but that's exactly why I was terrified of Kamala Harris originally, because when I saw her game plan, and me and Jackie, we talked about this in great detail on how Kamala was clearly groomed by the Democratic Party and the Hillary Clinton wing to be the next Barack Obama, the next leader. So they saw the rise of Bernie Sanders and they saw the rise of the progressive left. So everyone who had political ambitions, like people that anyone knew was gonna run, except like the hardcore moderate and centrist. I mean, like the new like up and comers, because a lot of people forget. But Pete Buttigieg, he was on board for Medicare for all as well at first.
True.
Yeah.
And this is why I think happened based on what I've seen in the primary, because in the primary you had Pete Buttigieg, you had Kamala Harris, you had Elizabeth Warren, you had all these people faking their support for Medicare for all because they wanted to siphon support from Bernie Sanders because they knew that was the direction of the party. But then they made an adjustment. It was maybe around spring or so. They made this adjustment where they realized the people who really want progressive policies, they're not banning Bernie Sanders. Like it's not going to happen. So then they made a calculation that they had to change their tactic to defeat Bernie, because they wanted to use Pete, they wanted to use Kamala to shave support from Bernie, to try and get the progressive left, and that was a very delusional game plan. But the Democratic establishment, like there was a New York Times article where they pretty much went over the fact that they had a Stop Bernie Sanders meeting. So they was game planning on how to stop Bernie Sanders for a very long time now, and I think they had that first.
It was 2016.
Yeah, for sure. They had that as their plan A, but it's very, very shocking how quickly they adjusted on the fly, and they was constantly making that adjustment throughout the course of their campaign. Like whenever they called for Elizabeth Warren to attack him, like it was a giant coordinated attack on the Democratic Party. and a lot of progressives, and I wish the Bernie Sanders campaign would have been a little bit more ready for that, or a little bit more willing to call it out for what it is. And
Well, to be fair, I mean, a lot of the Bernie Sanders advisors, like Brianna Joy Gray, Nina Turner,
yeah,
a lot of those higher ups, they were telling, "Hey, Bernie, you might want to attack Uncle Joe. Hey,
yeah,
Bernie, you might want to talk about these policies." But Bernie, Uncle Joe's his good old friend, so he wouldn't do it. So a lot of the times, I do look back and I see, like, yes, the Democratic Party,
Yeah, he
backed by
refused.
Uncle Joe, by Barack, they all crushed Bernie. But at the same time, Bernie didn't have any political what's that word I'm looking for? He didn't really press the button to really
yeah.
go after them the same way.
Yeah.
It's
You didn't use
Makes me think that they have something on him because he did it in 2016 and he's doing it now. Like, again, he bows out when he could. If he had pulled a 2016 Trump this year, he would be the nominee. All he had to do was at the beginning when they said, will you back anyone? Because, they asked him this question like 45 different ways every single time. If you aren't the nominee, will you back whoever it is? He should have pulled a Trump and said, hell no. If you don't back me, I'm going independent. He is an independent.
No,
Right, well, supposed to be.
Well, I think the other point we missed is that I think in 2019 the early parts of the primary, right? Everyone could come out and say, I'm for a Green New Deal, for Medicare for all, but you haven't the donors haven't really gotten into they haven't gotten into the donors' pockets yet. So it's really easy to say, I'm for this, I'm for that, right? But then when you have wine cave meetings, right, when you get the backdoor deals, and when you're Elizabeth Warren and somehow your plan goes from Medicare for all to Medicare for all in 10 years once I'm out of office, once those changes start being made, and once the real money starts to show up, when I'm taking any super PAC money, now I'm taking super PAC money,
that's what affected me with Warren. She flip flopped on a lot.
Exactly, and they flip flop because they need the money, right? And so, that was why people loved Bernie Sanders, because his campaign was made of small dollar donations. We could trust him when he had a 40-year track record of saying the same thing over and over and over again for 40 years. But I can't but everyone else, it seemed like, people, especially progressives, because of what happened with Barack Obama, we're already so skeptical of anyone who's preaching progressive policies, right? Because we had Obama saying, we're going to end all the wars and we're giving everybody health care. And then he got in there and bailed out the banks and said, and did the Republican health care plan, right? So I'm not going to trust Kamala Harris telling me that she's going to do criminal justice reform and she's for Medicare for all. I'm not going to trust Joe Biden or Elizabeth Warren. I can't trust these people, right?
That's why I've been driving me crazy, because I've been going, I don't know anyone been following my Twitter recently, but I've been going to war with these white progressive and the white liberals that were trying to shame us to vote for Joe Biden. And one thing that drives me crazy more than anything is they keep pointing to Biden platform, and people's Trump derangement syndrome is making them lose all sort of common sense on how politics works. You have people who are usually smart who are literally selling the idea that campaign promises are real. We have decades of evidence of Democrats, not just Democrats, both parties, but Democrats in particular in this case, where they will have a very aggressive platform, and then they won't do that. For example, who was the last Democratic president? Barack Obama and Joe Biden. And Barack Obama promised to end the wars, but he added 5. These Democratic politicians constantly. He said he's gonna reign. He will say he's gonna reign in Wall Street, bailed him out, and he contributed to income inequality, and unlike we ever seen before. Now it's even worse because of COVID. But at the time, I mean, income inequality got worse under Barack Obama and Joe Biden. So people are saying
they're still saying you're low. They're saying you're the lowest.
Yeah, hopefully they can still hear me. It says mad low. Damn. Mad low. I don't know.
Well, just to continue on what you're saying, I mean, a lot of the
that's why I just tell people straight up, like, I'm going for Trump. I just tell people I'm going for Trump. I ain't got time for none of that shit. I'm not about to argue with you. I'm not about to sit here and play pity-pat with you. Look, I'm going for Trump. Why are you going for Trump? I want you to die. Because I want your life destroyed. Why else? I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm just a Trump voter. I'm only voting because I want you to die. Because, a lot of these people, they say, oh, well, the world is getting It's the end of the world and everything is going down and he's destroying our lives. Up your bank account and then tell me that shit. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what your bank account's looking like, and then tell me that he's destroying your life. You know, these policies don't really touch you. You just need something to bitch about. You need to be oppressed. So I'm going to give you a reason. I'm going to make sure I do everything to keep Trump in office, just to give you a reason to bitch. Just give you something, because if Biden in office, everybody gonna go back to sleep. We already know that. Blah, blah.
Exactly.
No, I want Trump in office, not because Trump supporter, not because this and that. I just don't like you. I really want you to die. I don't like you. You're a waste of time. You in my way. Pushing progressive ideas. So you know what? Maybe Trump needs to get rid of y'all niggas, and we can fight for real. After this last 4 years of fascism in the White House, we can actually push a real progressive in there. You know what I'm saying? That have a progressive or liberal.
Yeah, Ron. That was what I was thinking, because I said this election, and I've tweeted this many times. This election is about the legislative branch of the United States. That's what it's about. Like the down ballot. Like if the Democrats can actually sweep that, imagine the torture they can give to Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that you would think is like a real ideal situation to torture him from the legislative branch for 4 more years. But the Democrats are being so bad. How can they do that?
That would only work if the down ballots are progressives.
Right, which supposedly, you know, we're supposed to be adding to the squad, right?
I mean, I do agree.
Yeah,
I do.
I really don't.
I mean, I do agree with you in that sense. I mean, if you look at the Obama presidency from 2014 till his end of his term, I mean, both houses of Congress were controlled by Republicans. So anything Obama said, they said, "Ha ha, fuck you, you saw it." So I mean, if somehow the Democrats could do the same thing to Trump, even though I know the Democrats are weak on purpose, which probably won't happen, it's just the symbol itself could be deemed effective.
That's exactly why I said only if they're progressives, because the Democrats have demonstrated time and time again they're not doing shit. You have to have progressives to actually go up against them, because without progressives, you're going to get posturing and you're going to get faux resistance. Perfect example, Nancy Pelosi today decided, oh, I'm going to bring up the 25th Amendment. Do you think she actually has plans to try to get Trump out of office that way? No, but she figures it'll keep people silent so that when Shahid Buttar goes, Pelosi's just a hashtag resistor, she's not actually doing anything, it's all performative bullshit, she can be like, no, I impeached him technically, and technically I almost got rid of him.
In her first 100 days. She said Trump would be impeached in his first 100 days if she the House spot. She said she was going to pass. Didn't happen. None of this crap. It's all lip service. She's telling people like, look, pay. The whole thing with lip service, like, look, man, we all do it in certain ways with females, males, whatever. The littlest shit to the biggest things. We all give people word salads, lip service.
Having mic issues, start a test and say something fun. We'll play your voice back to you.
Fuck it. You know what I'm saying?
It feels like one of those codependency relationships with the Democrats and Republicans, because it's like, what would one be without the other? I even tweeted about that before as well. Like, I think one is just trying to hold up the other in some kind of way to keep the other alive. It's like a weird cycle, you know, like a real, like a weird, like some kind of a three-legged thing. Like, okay, well, if I get rid of this leg, we're saying it's the cancerous leg, but we only got 2 legs left. So the way they got this set up, it just seems so crazy to me, you know?
And one thing I will add about your Nancy Pelosi comment earlier, before Nancy Pelosi, Donald Trump's biggest legislative achievement was the tax cuts, and was vastly unpopular. When Nancy Pelosi got in 2018, Trump was able to expand the Patriot Act, He was able to expand the National Defense Authorization Act. He was also able to get more money for his border wall. He was also able to increase the military budget. And he was able, well, she impeached him, but the problem is everyone knew in the Senate they weren't going to do it. So to me, and also too, in a recent interview with Nancy Pelosi came out the other day. She said, the Republican Party always talks about how they want to get rid of Roe v. Wade, but when Donald Trump was president and they had the House and Senate in 2017, they never did it. So she herself knows that these right-wing talking points that Democrats use to garner votes for their side, she already knows they're not going to do it. So she just does that to garner votes. That's cheap.
Performative bullshit. Exactly. That's what she's the queen of. She is totally the queen of performative bullshit. And I'm telling you, that's what this is with bringing up the 25th Amendment. She knows she's not going to try to actually get rid of him.
Yep, this
and one thing I will,
she doesn't want to
get COVID next.
No, she doesn't. But it makes, she's her re-election's on the line, and perhaps the numbers were swinging more to Buttar's favor. So she was like, "Okay, here's some more performative bullshit. Now I've done something. I am your queen."
She's been avoiding debate like the plague.
And it's crazy.
One thing I will say,
plague is what I said.
One thing I will say about this situation, though, is that if Nancy Pelosi is pushing this 25th Amendment thing, reviewing if a president is able to serve their office, if I were a Republican, I'd vote for that. You know why? Because if Uncle Joe wins and he turns old and senile, I can use that against Uncle Joe. So,
you mean turns?
What's the point? So what's the point? And
2 years late on that.
Exactly. So Republicans are always able to use those type of laws to their advantage. That's what they're good at doing. I mean, look at Donald Trump, for instance. How do you think Donald Trump would know about an 18? Yeah, like how do you think Donald Trump knows about the 1801 Insurrection Act? He doesn't. He just has people around him that do their research. They flip through the Constitution, they flip through the law book, and they fit whatever Trump says. So then whenever Trump says it's not conspiracy theory, it's something we've done way back then.
Right.
So Trump isn't necessarily a fascist. He has fascist tendencies based on what he wants to do. And if he is a fascist, he's the laziest one ever. He says he's going to do something and then flips a day later.
We've talked about that before. Trump is an opportunist fascist. He's not a fascist by design. He just keeps kind of lucking into it, and he takes advantage of it.
My thing is, like, we talked about this before. I'm trying to yell. Hopefully, they can hear me a little bit better. But we talked about this before because if you want to call Trump a fascist, Trump is only a fascist because he is acting as the duty of the president. And the reason why I say that because he's following the same patterns that everyone else is following. Because if liberals they want to call Trump a fascist because he locked kids in cages at the border, well, does that mean Barack Obama is a fascist for the same thing when he did that? When you have the government, because I looked up the definition, one of them, because there's a 14 points, and then there's a standard definition you can find in the dictionary or whatever. When you look at fascism, they said one of the key elements of fascism is forcible oppression of the opposition. Also, crack down on press. And that's why I talk about the Julian Assange's issue. Because how is cracking down on a journalist that's exposing war crimes, how is that not fascist behavior? How is invoking the Espionage Act, how is that not a fascist move? And you had that done under Barack Obama, and then you had that done under Trump. Because it's a pattern. And once again, I brought this up before, but when you look at the pattern of the presidency and the pattern of the executive, when you had George Bush, he came in charge. Bill Clinton, he was a warmonger. He was doing his Iraq thing. He was bombing the Middle East. And then George Bush came in, and he cranked that up to another level we never seen before. Then Barack Obama ran as an anti-imperialist, and then he did the unthinkable, where he started 5 more wars than George Bush and bombed 10 times more people. So we were like, that's insane. Right. And then Trump came in office and beat Obama's number in terms of bombing, in terms of drone strike. He drone strike more people in his first year than Barack Obama did in 8. So what did that tell you? So despite all the changes in the administration, there is no change in policy on how they handle whistleblowers, how they handle the military-industrial complex, how they handle the prison-industrial complex. Because once again, me and Jackie talk about this all the time. We live under a fascist state, us being as black people, that white people are just now being introduced to. That they just now feel like it's something important.
Exactly, and they want us to save them from fascism. Bitch, you didn't do shit for us.
exactly. Exactly. So I already
And one,
know. Go ahead. Go ahead, RJ.
also one thing I was going to add too. I mean, if you look at Joe Biden's campaign, Joe Biden's saying, "I will be tougher on Venezuela than Donald Trump," and I'm like, what? I mean, do you know what's going on in Venezuela with Donald Trump? Like really? I mean,
He said he
Donald
wasn't
Trump
gonna touch
literally
her
was
on Russia too, and like Trump,
exactly.
it has been the most anti-Russian president since Bill Clinton. I want
Yeah,
people to realize that because the
yeah,
doomsday clock has actually got closer ever since Trump got in office because the nuclear tension between Russia and the U.S. is higher than ever. Because when Trump did something that even Barack Obama said he wouldn't do, Barack Obama didn't want to arm the Ukrainian rebels because he believed that was escalating against Russia too much. And then you had Trump escalating and putting troops near the Russian borders through the sea as well. You had him authorize CIA cyber attacks on Russian financial institutions. Once again,
He armed ISIS.
this is something else that even Barack Obama said he didn't want to do. And at the same time, you got these same liberals, you got the same people. You got Hillary Clinton with Barack Obama's Secretary of State, who pretends that Trump is weak on Russia. In what universe has Trump been weak on Russia? Their tension has been constantly rising. They've been constantly opposing each other on foreign policy, which is one of the reasons why the Venezuela thing is so significant. Because all the liberals say, "Oh, Trump is a Putin puppet." Bro, Putin is more aligned with Nicolas Maduro. So if Trump is trying to oust that regime, that's anti-Putin. And if you look at throughout the course of his foreign policy, his entire foreign policy was to diminish Russian influence throughout the course of the region. But what do we get from the liberal media? What do we get from Democrats? They say the same goddamn thing. Oh, Donald Trump is a puppet of Putin. He's weak on Putin. Biden said that Trump is weak on Putin. Now marinate on the fact that what I just told you. If that is weak on Putin, what do you think Joe Biden is gonna accomplish when he get in the White
Not
House?
bad.
And he got complete media complicity on his side. And you see liberals right
In
now, they got
truth, not a damn thing because he'll be out within 30 days. It'll be Harris doing it.
yep, and she's gonna carry the wishes of the
It's
Democrat
gonna
Party because yep, go ahead, Jackie.
exactly well because in truth, it's not the president that's running the country. It's the Pentagon. That's why it doesn't matter who the president
Oh,
is. We keep ratcheting it up,
Exactly.
keep ratcheting it up. Military budget gets higher and higher every year. We already have a military budget that's bigger than the next 10 countries combined. Yet for some reason, we need to increase it year by year.
And
And
this
when Congress gets together and they say, okay, Bernie's like, hey, let's cut it by just 10%. Let's start there. They say, absolutely not. The Democrats say, absolutely not. Okay, because the country is run by the Pentagon. That's why. Why is Julian Assange's life in danger? Because he had the nerve to expose that, to be like, hey, the Pentagon is killing people and not even telling you, and they're actually doing that shit on American soil. That's when they're like, no, 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 we can't have that.
Yeah, and that's a great point as well because once again, I've been telling people, why do you think the Democrat Party don't want to decrease the police budget? They want to increase it more. So one of the most frustrating things that happened from political discourse over the last 10 or so years is people, mostly because it's the fault of the right wing, because they are so dumb they use these terms wrong. Like the right wing use the term D state for pretty much to be, they use it as kind of an anti-Semitic trope whenever they talk about the deep state. Whenever they, and it's completely counterfactual when they talk about it, and they actually ruin the validity of the argument. The deep state, aka the permanent state, is a 100% real thing, and you got people that literally still believe that's a conspiracy theory. Noam Chomsky
Yeah.
wrote and was very open about the permanent state. A lot of people had, I don't know, I'm very suck at saying the name. Finkelstein, he's a big critic of Israel. All you have a lot of these high quality academia that they never allow on American corporate news, by the way. You have them, they all validate the existence of the permanent state, which is you can see just by keeping your eyes open. It's the CIA officers. It's the revolving door that you see in politics. For example, when you have someone who will run for office. And I got a really good example of this because I live in Missouri. Claire McCaskill being one of the best examples, and guarantee you we're gonna see this from Amy McGrath as well. So they get in, they run, they work, they represent their donors. They lose, they go on TV, they use mainstream media talking points, and then look at MSNBC. They don't even hide it because look at who they actually have on the show. It'd be Rachel Maddow. They're like, hey, we got some fuckface, and he's a former CIA operative. They will literally say that shit. They were like, yeah, he's a U.S. intelligence official for the CIA, and he gonna tell us why Russiagate is the biggest threat to our nation. And I'm like, bro, how you guys not see this shit? And not even that, you got military generals. Military generals, they get into the army, they get into military, they push for war because it helped the weapons contractors and the weapon defense manufacturers. And then what happened when they retire? They get to the end of their term, they get a pension from the government, and then they join the weapon manufacturer because that's their way of saying thank you. And then on the left, the liberals, they want to pretend that this is a conspiracy theory when we talk about the permanent state. And that's why I don't. And my understanding of the permanent state is why I don't allow people to fear monger me regarding, oh, Trump is going to be the worst thing ever. Is he? Is he? Or is he just going to follow in the direction of the United States government?
The easy way how I break it down, excuse me, I break it down to my family like, look, man, we remember how Barack Obama ran for president. We remember he was running against Bush, the wars, and all that crap. Now, when Obama got in office, what did he do to Bush? Did he prosecute him? Did he put him in prison? No, he gave him a medal and he, said, on about your day. This is how you got to look at it. It's nothing but Tom and Jerry. I keep repeating myself every day because it is nothing but Tom and Jerry. I've been watching it all my life. I know Tom and Jerry when I fucking see it. What happens when Tom really kills Jerry? Nigga, the show was over. Tom probably gonna get kicked out and go to the fucking pound because they don't need him no more. That's what happens when the Democrats. That's what happens. You know what I'm saying? Democrats, Republicans. Oh, we're fighting. I don't like him. I don't like her. Hold on. Why y'all on the island together? Why y'all, you know what I'm saying, got money in this business together? You know what I'm saying? Why is it like this if y'all don't like each other?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you giving me the runaround. Okay, I understand. I understand better. Just tell me that. Don't tell me that you hate this. Tell me that you're gonna put this nigga in prison, but then as soon as you get in office, y'all giving each other more power and more power.
Yep. And
that's the same thing with
so just to add on that point too, is that you've seen in the debates, Kamala Harris, she was touting that she has 7 George W. Bush officials and administration officials endorsing her campaign, as well as 500 retired military generals. So, and you can see right now the full, I would say, rehabilitation of George Bush. And also absolutely. back to your point about the Russia thing, Nick. There's a new movie out by I don't know what the publishing firm is, but there's a new movie about the interaction between Donald Trump and what's that former FBI director James Comey.
It's on HBO or Stars or something.
What is it
like
about?
I saw the.
Yeah, it's all. Seen it yet.
Yeah, it's go ahead, RJ. You know about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, it's basically about the encounter, about how James Comey is such a hero because it was talking about the Hillary Clinton emails and how he leaked them out before the election. They got Trump elected, or whatever. It's basically a liberal's wet dream. So I would not watch it.
Like they hated James Comey at first. Remember, like a lot of people.
Of course.
Because Americans got short memories. Because in 2016, they blamed him for Hillary losing. Because remember when he reopened that probe? I don't remember. It was like 2 weeks, 3 weeks out. It was like right before the election.
It was like a month out. Yeah.
There was like a 2 to 3 month period where liberals hated James Comey, and then the whole Russiagate thing come out, and now he's a hero. now he's
the thing is, what all these former these officials that are first hated by the Democrats, what they do is they go on Bill Maher's show. I mean, I remember when I saw John Brennan after Trump took away his security clearance because he was leaking some stuff out, and John Brennan got upset, so he went on Bill Maher's show. And of course, Bill Maher is going to say, "You're a patriot." So
that fool is all the way done at this point.
Yeah, what the fuck?
He just said that Mike Pence made him, after 2 minutes of seeing him, he thinks if Trump dies, that'd be okay because Pence is better. Are you fucking kidding me?
Bro, Bill Maher this new season, he's trying to be the most cringe political top of all time.
Bro,
like he's been bad for
so
years.
Far gone.
Always does that.
So bad.
He always does that during election. That's nothing new with Bill Maher. He doesn't
everything to take it upon ourselves.
Well, the thing about Bill Maher is that most of the time
we got to do better. We need to take it upon ourselves.
Well, the thing about Bill Maher is he most of the time he has some pretty bad takes. But it seems like before Trump, he was tolerable on some issues. Like when it comes between liberals versus progressives, he's absolutely trash. But when it comes to certain issues, it's not hard to go against him. It just seems like when Trump got into office, it's now that he has TDS to the extreme, and everything is about Trump versus everybody else. So it's really hard to listen to his show anymore.
It's not even just TDS. It's also like there is a such thing as blue MAGA. Like these people are literally like the Trumpers, but the opposite. Like the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And they're all like that. All, like Bill Maher, Deborah Messing, George Takei, all of them are a part of this blue MAGA thing. Like that's why voter shaming is so prevalent. That's why just pretty much just voter narcissism in general is just prevalent because of these people.
Exactly.
That's all they know.
I mean, exactly. I mean, just on Bill Maher's show last week, I mean, it was trending on Twitter because Bill Maher said that if you get raped by a guy and you have to carry your rape baby to full term, you can blame Jill Stein. I was like,
no, you should name it Jill Stein.
You just name it Jill Stein, yeah. So it's like that's kind of
just open a workout machine in it.
He went full shit lib. And once again, he used to have good takes every once in a while. And he was even like pre-2016, he was sympathetic to Bernie. I remember he used to defend Bernie Sanders all the time. And you gotta wonder what happened. And I really believe that I really wish I was a fly in the room of a Bill Maher meeting and conversation.
Oh no, please don't bring up flies anymore.
no more flies.
I was gonna catch that one.
Go ahead. I was gonna say on another tip in terms of like what we talked about in terms of like trying to like continue to propagate Russiagate, right? But you remember that whole story about like the Russian bounty and that Trump.
Oh my gosh,
It all came out to be a big fake, right? And like this kind of goes back to like just like Trump derangement syndrome, right? But Crystal Ball had like a tweet that was just like the Russian bounty story was bullshit. She tweeted this out with like a whole bunch of links and resources. And then like there were people in the comment who were like, Crystal, now's not the time. Like now's not the time to call that a massive lie. Like that a bunch of intelligence officers all lied about this.
Oh my gosh, it was terrible. I mean, I was watching. Look, this is gonna be bad, but every so often I watch CNN and see what they're saying.
Man, the wee man showed up hard for Rome. I'm sorry. God damn. Sorry.
So like I was watching CNN one time and the headline, "Oh, Donald Trump and with Bountygate," I was like, "Oh, this is totally fake news." Like I knew it immediately.
It's not real, right? Like.
Well, because it's more red baiting bullshit. Like I was saying on Twitch, they have to have an enemy to justify the military industrial complex. The terrorism angle isn't working anymore, so they're just cycling back to the Red Scare.
Yeah.
Right.
They are literally completely xenophobic now. Because remember when Chris Hayes had that tweet, and then there was a lot of liberals that was following it as well, where it was like, yeah, what happening right now in the U.S. is very Soviet.
I'm about to get my med card. My brother.
You mean the Soviet or is it American?
Yeah.
Because this is something that Putin says all the time. Because Putin, I have no love for him. Obviously, he's a tyrant. Yeah. He's a dictator, just like everyone else. But but a lot of people, especially a lot of liberals, don't even know how he responds to accusation of his corruption. I actually heard a few speeches from Putin. Like he had forums, and he's a very charismatic guy. And one thing, like he would ask about his human rights violations, and he always pivots to the U.S. I remember one thing he said in particular. I was like, damn. He was like, how can Americans complain about how we do in Russia when you guys are killing black people in mass with police?
Ooh,
it's like, bro, he throw the heat, like, and that's exactly what we talking about. How can you have the more high ground to criticize Putin or any other dictator when you running a fashion police state yourself? And Putin also brought up. I remember he also brought up our prison population. Like, oh, they say Russia don't have human rights, but you guys are literally locking up one. Like, Putin actually go on the offensive, and that's why you never see the media actually put him on TV because they don't want his responses to be out there. Because he also do say, once again, don't get me wrong, Putin is a piece of shit and he's a hypocrite. But when you have a country that is as morally bankrupt as we are, we can't criticize anyone else because they can easily just deflect and say that we're evil as well. I was just looking at a Fidel Castro video, and one thing he was arguing, once again, they never ever showed like the actual speeches and what they actually talk about. And Fidel Castro was like, bro, we educated our people. We increased their standard of living. This is what we literally created doctors that we send all over the world that are doing humanitarian acts. And he was like, what did the U.S. do? The U.S. is literally overthrowing governments. They're bombing civilians overseas. Like he literally, this is the argument that all the other leaders that we call dictators, that may be true or maybe not. That's the argument they made to justify their actions, because the idea is that we're supposed to be the moral high ground. We're supposed to be we're supposed to have the more high ground on all other countries. That's the propaganda that we were told. So when that's proven to not be true, when that is proven to not be true, U.S. propaganda falls apart. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the other problem is just like the U.S. wants to criticize it, or they only like. Here's the other thing: it's like you'll allow, and this is part of like propagandizing, right? But you'll allow U.S. and American will only watch American media, right? So they can tell you that Gaddafi's a dictator, right? Or they can tell you that Assad's a dictator. They can tell you whoever in whatever country, this person's a dictator. We need to go after them to justify to you. You don't know any better. You don't know anything about Syria. You don't know anything about Libya. You have no idea. So you're like, they say, we'll go over there. We'll do. We're the good guys. We'll go do the good guy thing. When no, it's just like Western imperialism, which is just like, it's not dictatorship on the state level. It's a dictatorship on the world level. Like it's like, I'm gonna go over there and fuck up your shit, even though and control what you do. Which is a whole different thing. It's way worse.
And one of the best arguments so let me say this, and I'll let you go right after this, RJ. One of the best arguments that Biden broke almost pulled off, because there was some news that came out that Biden said he was going to end the war in the genocide in Yemen, which honestly, I'm gonna be honest, that is a good pitch to end the genocide in Yemen. Yeah. But this is the problem. This is the issue, and this is why I wasn't convinced overall. Once again, that go back to our original point that we can't trust these people on their campaign promises. But beyond that, look at their recent actions. Look at what they're promising. So yes, they may end the genocide, they may end the war in support of Yemen, but Kamala Harris just voted to decrease the military. She voted against decreasing the military budget by 10%, and Joe Biden said he's going to increase the military budget. So what did that mean? So that means, we may get out of Yemen, but we're going to reallocate those resources, and we're going to escalate in the Middle East as well. We're going to escalate in Venezuela.
Yeah, we'll say so. Yeah, we'll say, this new some dude with some name you can't pronounce in some place that you can't put on the map. He's a dictator and he's awful, and then he's bombing his people or whatever. And now we got to go justify. We have to go put up a whole new camp, and we have to go put up a whole new base, and we got to spend. We have to let the Pentagon lose another $1 trillion, and it just disappears into a hole somewhere.
Can you imagine if there's a larger country and they can easily justify invading us? We tear gas our own people. Tear gas is a war crime. So imagine you could easily have if there was a larger country, they could easily say, the United States is literally committing war crimes on the protesters. Let's go invade them. Yeah. This is the moral bankruptcy of imperialism that a lot of people don't even understand. But sorry, let me go ahead. I cut RJ off. What was you about to...
Yeah, all right, Archie, go ahead. You had a point.
Yeah, I cut you off earlier.
It's fine. I mean, what I was saying is that, CNN and MSNBC never ever talk about foreign policy. Even under the Obama era, when he was doing Yemen and Syria, there's no coverage on it. But the surprising thing to me, I listened to a lot of secular talk and Jimmy Dore show videos. And what I've noticed is that Fox News actually covers more about Yemen and Syria and a lot of our foreign wars than any other major news program, which is shocking. And also what's shocking, too, is the guy who everyone calls a white supremacist, Tucker Carlson. He's had CIA and FBI officials and foreign policy advisors come on his show and debunk them about Syria and Yemen wars. So to me, that's really is what's most shocking. And also, too, just someone mentioned Julian Assange and Edward Snowden earlier here. I'm not sure who it was. But anyway, Glenn Greenwald from The Intercept, he went on Fox News. And he only got 5 minutes, because you only get 5 minutes when you tell the truth in America. But he spent that 5 minutes, and what he did was he made his point more as a progressive standpoint. But what he did is he framed it right wing. He said, "Look, Mr. President, you want to get out Julian Assange. These are the same people who locked him away are the same ones who made this mess possible in the first place." Yep. So I commend any progressive who sticks with their values but frames it a certain way to get that appeal.
Absolutely.
Perfectly said. What was you about to say, Nick? Do you remember? I know you had something to say.
There is no way to justify voting for Joe Biden.
There's not.
In my eyes, it ain't no way you can justify voting for Joe Biden. No way.
Well, one thing
Trump can do. Trump can bomb the fuck out of a country right now, and there is no way his record will be touching anywhere near Joe Biden. So, in my eyes, as a black man, it's nothing to justify me voting for the destroyer of my community.
Right.
I already have Trump. You know,
Absolutely.
I already have a Trump. And more black people paying attention now. So what I want more black people to go to sleep. No, fuck that, man. Look, Trump 2020. Yeah, I know I make y'all niggas mad when I say that, but I don't give a fuck.
I think,
bro.
One thing I will add though is that I've noticed talking to a lot of older black voters, those over the age of 45. I mean, from the beginning till now, their main point is, look, Joe Biden was really the first, white guy to play second fiddle to a black guy.
That shit drives me crazy.
And they think
that was his way of showing the big ups. Like, look, I do what you want. I sell out. I do whatever the fuck y'all want. You know what I'm saying, look, I have the writer of the 94 crime bill with me. He locked up the most black people ever.
Yeah.
So look, I'm gonna do what y'all want to do.
And I make a point all the time, and it very, very frustrates me because there's a way you can go about pushing for Biden. Honestly, I do think there's a way you can go about it. But I talk to these white progressives and I talk to these white liberals, and I explain to them how Joe Biden is responsible for almost any more damage for the black community than anyone over the course of 40 years with the crime bill and the bankruptcy bill. Like a lot of people, the first thing they always bring up is the crime bill. But actually, the bankruptcy bill is arguably as impactful at destroying the black community than anyone else. Like a lot of people have no idea how evil the bankruptcy bill. The bankruptcy bill is one of the largest instruments of destroying the working class and the middle class. They did things, for example, like making there was a amendment that was going to be in bankruptcy bill that Joe Biden voted against that would have made it easier to handle your medical debt. It would ease the burden of people with medical debt. It would ease the burden of people who have military families who die. I mean, I can go through the policy. There's so many things that Joe Biden directly voted for that would put so much ease and burden on the working class. And whenever I explain this kind of stuff, and whenever I talk about like the medical debt problem that Joe Biden is responsible for, the student loan debt problem that Joe Biden is responsible for, because guess who paid most in student loan debt, and guess who paid most in medical debt? I put the article on this on one other Black Rose podcast. I can pull it up again. When it comes to medical debt, black people pay a extensive amount more than the average person with medical debt. We pay the most for student loan debt because we don't have wealth to pay for our college. So we're the one who suffer because of student loan debt. Anti-legislation that Joe Biden. Go ahead, Ron.
I was talking to somebody on Twitter a while ago. I remember this conversation. I said, they said, why do people believe this? Blah blah. I said, because they defund the fuck our education and tell us what to think. They said, defund your education. 75% of the property taxes going to education. I said, nigga, I'm from Detroit. Ain't nobody paying no motherfucking property taxes. Think we can't even afford to live there. What you talking about?
Yeah.
So if you pay your property taxes, the school don't get education, don't get funding. You're squatting. If everybody's homeless, everybody's shacked up. Who really paying taxes for real? This is why I always tell. Look, man.
Am I saying your name right? Hopefully I am. I'm probably butchering it. It's Kamilah, right? Kamilah.
It's Kamilah. The I is like a.
Sorry. See, that's why I wanted to ask Kamilah. I think I heard you trying to say something.
Ever since she ran for AG in California, I've had the name butcher messed up thing.
Yeah, I only read your name, so I don't have no idea. I suck at saying names.
And I'm from California, so that makes it even crazier.
Whenever I see you on Twitter, I definitely say Kamilah every single damn time. So, but now at least I know it's Kamilah. At least I know it's Kamilah.
I've had it everywhere. It's kind of like like anybody who's had like been an actor or whatever, and they come up with their a signature line or whatever. It's kind of like when people see my name, it's like they don't realize that Kamilah doesn't have an I in her name.
Yeah.
But the I and the A is still in the
like I and the H, and they don't ever it at all.
how you use A, you can
let's
I.
pivot. I'm gonna pivot to this real quick. I want to cover this. We're about 50 minutes in. I think we can do about an hour and a half today. Especially since I have an audio problem. But I definitely want to pivot to this. Because we was talking about the debate, and a lot of people are frustrating me because once again I mentioned before, the only thing they talk about is fly, but there is very significant things that we can take away from the debate. For example, and you don't have to watch it. I mean, most of you guys already know she walked back on the Green New Deal. She supported fracking, and this is something that drives me crazy as well. A lot of progressives, they don't realize, for some reason, they are. I hear it all the time, and I think there's like some sort of bot program where, because once again, our establishment is always adjusting, and I'm seeing this constantly. While I see people with Rose in their names on Twitter, and they will be their join date will be within like 3 months, 3 to 4 months, and they always standing Joe Biden. And one thing they say is they like, well, you gotta vote for Joe Biden for the climate because he got a decent climate plan. I didn't set that tweet off for no reason. I was seeing that all the time. And Joe Biden, go ahead, Jackie.
Decent climate plan, my ass. Okay, here's the difference between Republicans and Democrats. Republicans say, look, our donors don't want us to do a damn thing, so we're just going to pretend like it's bullshit. Democrats go, look, our donors don't want us to do a damn thing, so we hear you, we see you, and we're just not going to do a damn thing. But we're going to look like you. What the fuck is the difference? You're not going to ban fracking. You're not going to fix the problem.
Yeah, it's all
You're not going to stop. Like, climate change is a thing where it's a zero-sum situation. You can't. It's like being pregnant. You can't be be partially pregnant. No, you're pregnant or you're not. Either you're going to stop the problems that are creating our extinction, or you're going to do fuck all about it. It's not there's not an incremental thing. We're not going to incrementally go extinct. I mean, technically we are. We're in the process. We're doing that right now. But we're trying to slow that down. We're trying to prevent it because, like, technically we're eventually going to go extinct. But the difference is that going to happen in 50 years or is it going to happen in 5,000? We could have it happen in like at least 500, but no, we're trying to rush to happen in 50 years because the people making these laws will be dead by then either way. They're in their 70s, 80s, don't give a flying fuck.
Because you said there's no reason for us to support people that are against our community. And this is a great tweet. I don't really know the guy, Jamel, the creator. He put out. I mean, this pretty much just put on paper everything that we already know. This is not breaking news for us. We know about Kamala record, but it's always good to have this data so we can quote the libs. Because one thing that's the most frustrating about Biden's campaign and people advocacy for the fact that we have to vote for them is the fact that they are propping up this fascist police state, which I have said constantly that this is our new civil rights movement. And Angela Davis had an amazing article. We can actually go through this. I might cover that in a separate video segment. But she wrote an op-ed pretty much saying why we must abolish the police. And one of the great points that she made is that whenever you focus on just reforms, you leave the job undone. That's why the work from the civil rights movement from the 60s was left undone because it left this fascist, racist police system in play. And we have this that came out. They pretty much go over the fact that Kamala Harris during her time at DA literally was going after African Americans. You can look at it through the data and the increased arrest. See, it said San Francisco posing drug felony arrest for African Americans during the 1995 to 2009 period did not occur anywhere else in the state. Pretty much just go over the fact that there literally was an increase of African American arrests once Kamala Harris got in place. And now you got the fact that they said they are openly opposing defund the police, which Kamala Harris said on her during the debate. Joe Biden is constantly doubling down on that, and he was attacking the left during his debate. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up because I'm looking at the news, I'm looking at what's going on right now. Let me find this other one because obviously there's the story of the governor of Michigan. She was kidnapped, and I
A
saw
little
this
bit better.
video. I'll talk about that in a second. Let me see if I can find it. I found this video of a police chief and sheriff. There it is right here. I want to play this. I want you guys to realize what the fuck we are going up against. So how do you reform this?
He knows these guys. He, quote, has never had lunch with them or anything like that, but has ran into them at some of these rallies. He said they've always been nice and respectful to him, adding they deserve a fair trial.
Reminder: this is the sitting sheriff in Michigan. This is his response of right-wing terrorists kidnapping a governor in Michigan. The governor. Okay, now keep that in mind as you hear this. This is crazy.
Michael and William Null were among the first charged Thursday for their alleged roles in the plot to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer. The brothers from Plainwell and Shelbyville
crazy.
are now
Right up the
charged
street.
with
I'm like,
providing
damn.
support for terroristic acts, on top of weapons
I don't like that
charges.
bitch
Their West
anyway, so
Michigan
fucking
homes
go
raided
ahead.
Wednesday night.
Was able to hear them say, FBI, have a warrant for your arrest. Come out with your hands up.
A neighbor of William Null spoke with Fox 17 under the condition of anonymity. They witnessed the raid and were shocked hearing what it was related to.
I had heard that there was a lot of militia people. They're right to do so, but to the extent that we just found out last night.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty shocking. I mean, my governor. Yeah, I've seen it. I mean, from my governor, I saw. I mean, I live in Michigan, so.
I didn't hear anything the sheriff said. It's just the news thing.
You can see William Null on stage alongside Barry County Sheriff Dar Leaf, a guest speaker at the event.
Oh, him.
We spoke with Sheriff Leaf Thursday night.
Well, I haven't read everything up on it. I've got other duties to do. It wasn't our investigation. So I was shocked. I did not see this coming with those guys, but still, we can't convict them in the news media here. They do have a right to a fair trial.
Leaf says he doesn't know of Null's alleged involvement in the plot and doesn't have any regrets about sharing a stage with him.
Do you have any regrets from being on stage, sharing a stage with a guy who's now being charged in a plot to kidnap the governor?
Well, it's just a charge. And they
Just
say
a
a plot to
charge.
kidnap, and you got to remember, they're trying to kidnap because a lot of people are angry with the governor.
Oh, before we finish this, imagine if that was a Muslim. Like, imagine that was a Muslim extremist. Imagine that was a black person. Imagine that was a black gang, a Latino gang. Would they be giving them a sense? Would he be giving them the benefit of the doubt in that situation? Would he?
Oh, they wouldn't have said it was a militia. They would have called it a gang. They would have called it mobsters. They would have called it a group of thugs.
Yep, and the media is completely.
If they were Muslim, they'd be terrorists. We don't get the militia term. That's reserved for white people.
Never. And it get worse. It get worse.
And
What's worse?
they want her arrested. So are they trying to arrest, or was it a kidnap attempt? Because still, if it's a felony.
What was they trying to arrest?
And I think it's MCL 764.4.
Citizens arrest, I'm sure.
5, somewhere on there. And
nice and
it doesn't
civilized.
say if you're in an elected office that you're exempt from that arrest. So
what?
I have to look at it from that angle.
Yeah, so there you go.
What?
These guys are.
You know what my response to that is? Some of those that run forces are the same that burn crosses.
Or something like that.
Let's run that back. And then we let Jackie go off on them.
Felony, you can make a felony arrest. And I think it's MCL 764.4 or something like that, 0.5, somewhere on there. And it doesn't say if you're in an elected office that you're exempt from that arrest. So
what?
I have to look at it from that angle, and I'm hoping that
was it a kidnapping or arrest?
These guys are innocent till proven guilty. So
innocent till proven guilty.
That is funny.
Yo, the gymnastics, the mental gymnastics are hilarious.
Exactly, Nick. Exactly.
If it was anybody else, it would have been seen as a murder attempt. And my response to that
nigga has something to do with that shit. I'm gonna tell y'all straight up.
What?
Bro said he thinks he has something to do with it.
He probably did. I mean, the way he's talking, he's
he probably organized it. I mean, let's face it. Because, you know what? Like, my whole response to that is what Rage Against the Machine said. Some of those that run forces are the same that burn crosses. There's a reason why they said that.
I think the other thing is the other reason you could have is like he seemed like he had a real weird justification like on hand. You know, like it could be a kidnapping or an arrest.
Yeah, this one he gave thought to. Yeah, like you can tell that he actually gave thought to this. Like, he saw the story and he was like, I gotta find a way to defend them. I can't take the offensive against them. I gotta stay neutral. And you saw he was on stage with him. They chummy with each other, and this is a white violent militia, and you got the sheriff buddying up with these people. And once again, I always bring up the study that everyone seems to forget, where the FBI said the white supremacists have infiltrated our law enforcement. And now I tie that with the fact that Democrats want to give more money to the police. How you get more money, and how are you going to reform a system filled with white supremacists?
Exactly.
Okay, but here's the question: how are you going to expect a baker to outlaw ovens? Because that's what you're asking Kamala Harris to do when you say reform the police.
Kamala Harris has never, and this will piss me off about the debate as well, because I remember when the George Floyd and Breonna Taylor answer came up, and then Kamala Harris was pretending to care about justice so much. Meanwhile, and once again, this is show the failure of our debate moderators and the system as a whole, because they would never allow these follow-up questions to be asked. Why didn't they ask why Kamala Harris never ever prosecuted a police officer in her entire career? Why she pretending to be sympathetic to George Floyd and Breonna Taylor? Never in her entire career has she prosecuted a police officer. Ever.
Ever.
And,
well, Kamala.
Go ahead, RJ.
So Kamala Harris during the debate, she did say, I was one of the most progressive. I prosecuted the bankers. I helped out families. So,
she left Steve Mnuchin's ass alone.
Yeah, and she lied about that in the debate too, because she was literally like, "Yo, I prosecute the bankers." And I'm one of the people who get really, very frustrated when politicians and public servants lie. And you have liberals who lose their shit. They absolutely break down whenever Trump tells a lie. They're like, "Man, Trump is a pathological liar. Republicans are pathological liars. Lindsey Graham, he a liar. Like Mitch McConnell, he a liar." Meanwhile, you got Democrats who are able to lie with impunity. Like Kamala Harris literally was on the debate stage, was like, "I went after the bankers." No, you didn't, bitch. you had Steve Mnuchin. You let him go, and
went after him for a loan, maybe.
But what's funny to me, what I can't really understand is how come liberals are.
Pence called on that shit, and that shit hit.
How come liberals are what?
RJ, what surprises me is how liberals aren't against the police, because if you haven't noticed, back in 2016, Donald Trump had overwhelmingly support from all the police unions.
Yeah.
So I mean, you would think that if some factions in your party want to abolish the police, you would do it simply because you hate Donald Trump. So I'm not really sure.
So liberals, they drive me crazy because I'm part of an abolition group.
Because for the simple fact, when white liberals move up in your neighborhood, they need the police. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
absolutely.
They need the police. They need to call them for your black ass when you walk in their buildings that you've been living in. You know what I'm saying? for years and years, and your grandma said whatever. And it's so of course they love fucking police. They call the police more than conservatives.
Yeah.
They like liberal.
Amy Cooper.
The whole
thing, because conservatives are the ones with their own guns. They'll fix it themselves. Whereas liberals are like, that's a police matter.
Yeah, I'll call the police. I want to talk about a police story. I don't know if you guys. I don't think we talked about this last week because this is kind of coming up soon. But the Jonathan Price shooting in Texas, the college football player who was shot by a rookie cop in Texas.
There's so much of this. There's some I can't. There's so many police shootings. Because I heard
I
don't know all the details. So do you know the details? Do you know the details?
Bro, I'm a whole ass nigga, bro. No love for this nigga, bro. I remember him on Facebook, bro. I remember this nigga. This nigga used to talk shit to black women, bro. Talk shit about black women. He talk shit about y'all niggas making shit up about the police being racist.
Yeah.
Fuck that nigga.
Yeah, bro.
Wait,
so he's like,
happened?
Fuck that nigga.
So there's a black dude who was like a Blue Lives Matter. He's a coon. He's a Blue Lives. He was a Blue Lives Matter black dude who didn't believe that police racially discriminated or racially profiled. He has some dispute at the gas station or something. The police are called. He tries to shake the cop's hand. He tries to shake the cop's hand. This nigga gets shot, bro. The cop's Yeah.
I gotta look into this story now.
Yo, Rome is a walking, talking Schadenfreude.
It's one of
Let
those.
that, let that shit be a lesson. Let that shit be a lesson to all you niggas who think they're inside, bro. Let that shit be a lesson, bro. They not your fucking friend, nigga. Stop tap dancing, nigga. Stop tap dancing, bro. Because they still gonna shoot your black ass. They don't give a fuck what you say on the internet. Yeah, they might even like your credit. They might even like your shit. They still gonna shoot your black ass, nigga. Because when you take off your uniform, you ain't nothing but a nigga. So let it be, nigga.
And they come after black whistleblowers anyway. Even if you're a cop, you still can get shot by another cop, and you're black.
Yeah, Nick. If you want to pull it up, if you search Jonathan Price, you'll see a whole bunch of stories. But that's the top headline. Jonathan Price tried to shake white Texas officer's hand before the cop killed him. It says there's an affidavit that says that.
That's wild,
yeah, bro. Out here shucking and jiving, cooning around, and got capped
like,
anyway.
Don't do it.
Look, I mean, I want to shit on this guy, but I fucking hate police so much. Like, I'm so torn in this story because, like, bro, you play stupid ass games, you win stupid ass prizes. But
yeah, bro. Like,
again, this is back up our point that the police are not to be trusted. And what really drives me crazy with liberals, and this is go back to the theme of when they were mocking Black Lives Matter, when they was using no jokes, because they see the Black Lives Matter movement as a joke to them. It's a hobby, it's a pastime, and you see the way they go after defund the police. Like when you hear Bill Maher talk about it, when you hear any of these standard liberal people who are against defund the police, this is how you know they're a bad faith actor. Because I work with abolition groups. I'm very well read on the goals of defunding the police and abolition of the police. And they never, ever accurately represent our position. Because one thing that liberals do, and they constantly contradict themselves. It's very, very funny when they use this argument. They say, we can't defund the police because if you look at these cities, the crime rate is so high. So if we defund the police, you're going to have all these black people in trouble. They're going to be dangerous. We need the police force to protect the black people because there's so dangerous in this neighborhood. And they never stop to think, why are these neighborhoods so dangerous? Why are the crime rate so high when we got giant police budgets? Doesn't that show that the giant police budgets doesn't work?
No.
Like that we need a way to prevent crime?
Everyone is everything but the actual system.
Exactly.
And
what I will add, like even Kamilah said, so when you look at like trying to drive down crime rates, the first thing you need to do is to figure out why people commit crimes in the first place, right? Well, Kamilah was like, no, I don't want to fund schooling and fund programs and like get rid of poverty because that would effectively reduce, if not eliminate, most crime, especially violent crime. But no, let's not do that. Let's just amp up police presence and throw the money there.
And that was
why? Because the same reason we amp up our military presence. We don't give a shit about human lives, especially if they're black or brown. We just care about the military-industrial complex. And the prison system in the United States, along with policing, is just the domestic arm of our military-industrial complex.
Right.
Yesterday, I saw Kamilah and then RJ, you right next to that.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Kamilah.
Yesterday, I saw a meme that was interesting, and it had AG Daniel Cameron and Kamala Harris on the same thing, and they said that they're like basically one and the same.
Yeah.
So it's amazing people don't recognize that, like the way that they are the same might differ because of the cases and all the different stuff, but technically they're the same kind of AG.
Yeah.
What I will say is that
go ahead, RJ.
What I will say is that Democrats have a hard time fighting against right-wing propaganda. I mean, as soon as Black Lives Matter came out, as soon as ACAB came out, what did Donald Trump do? He put out a campaign ad saying, if you're a senior and you call the police, no one would come because, the Democrats want to defund the police, and if you call the phone number and you're in trouble, no one would come. And what did Joe Biden do? I mean, he said, no, I'm not for defunding the police. I mean, same thing with really AOC. AOC, she was basically, what did AOC say? AOC said the reason why you have a lot of crime is because of the poverty rate is so high. Like, remember, right when the government shutdown came, crime increased. As soon as the stimulus came out, crime decreased. So that's what she was referring to. But that one a-hole Republican, I forgot what his name was. Ted, what is it? I don't know what his name is. But he called her an F and B and crazy.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just Democrats have a hard time fighting against that right wing propaganda, and the more I learn about it, the more I know they do that on purpose because they're on the same team anyway.
Absolutely.
And since Rome is smoking, this is another reason, and this drives me crazy about liberals again because they operate under the right wing fantasy that police decrease crime and they reduce the crime rate, even though that has not been shown. And this story, I'm not gonna lie, I was triggered as fuck when I came across this
This
story.
shit was funny, bro.
Because this all that massive police budget that they have, they don't use it to prevent crime. They use it for this shit. 2 large marijuana arrests this week. Say no to drugs. In the year 2020, this is what they using their police budgets for. And you got
this supposed to be a large. This is a large. Rome had that 5 minutes ago. How's that a large arrest?
Yeah.
And guess what? And is that a red state or is that a blue state?
Exactly.
That's a Democrat state. Once again,
man, that shit wasn't shit. That's like
I'm in Michigan. It's like a pound. It's like 3 pounds of weed.
That's a fucking shit ton. And I want to see if I can find Beth. I think Beth had the best. I think Beth Lynch, she had the best response to this. Like,
I was gonna say which Beth. You know, we have a militia of Twitter Beth.
She said, "Y'all don't even know." She said, "Y'all don't even know how to solve. Y'all don't know how to prevent or solve actual crime, son." Nope. Beth literally, she always knock it out of the park, but I love that response there because that literally sums up why I'm a big advocate of defunding and abolition, because we spend all these resources going after stoners and ruining people's lives, which it has a reason, and not the reason why they want to tell us, because the reason why they do this is because they want to give people felonies, they want to put them in the system so they can't vote. That's the new Jim Crow. Yeah. That's the real reason. But they say they do this because they want to keep the neighborhood safe. How spend all this money going after stoners, keeping the neighborhood safe, instead of going after gangs? Even if you're an advocate, sorry, I'll let you go right to this, Nick. Even if you're an advocate of giant police budgets, you should at least be like, we shouldn't do this shit. Go after the gangs. Go after the real violence. Because and one thing that Angela Davis brought up in her article that she ran, and this is a big point that police abolitions go after all the time. A lot of people look at dangerous neighborhoods and they use that as an excuse to increase rampant police. But there have actually been studies. Even if you look at these violent neighborhoods, the violence is distributed amongst a very small amount of the population. Even in Chicago. So when you see when you see sky high violence, it's because of gang violence. And now the police, they don't use their resources to go after them directly. They use all the resources to go after the drug war. So it's like, bro, you guys not even advocating for the right thing. Like, even if you're advocating for a giant police, but you're like, all right, leave the stoners alone, go after the real violent criminals. Which like once again, I'm all for defunding the police. But even the tactics they use is not conductive of reducing violence, and they do that on purpose because police are glorified revenue collectors of the state, and they are here to perform the new Jim Crow. That's why they look at this situation. They look at the marijuana bust, and they are bragging about it. Yeah, this is what they are designed to do. They're designed to crush our communities, and they don't police. And this is another great point that Angela Davis brought up. And there's a big. Actually, let me. I think I saved one of these. I really want to go to that article because the article is amazing, and that goes to my other point as well. Because liberals always talk about Angela Davis, and they talk about Noam Chomsky every 4 years. Every 4 years, that's when they bring them up to vote, shame people to vote for the Democratic Party. And honestly, if you look at what Angela Davis said, it was driving me crazy. She didn't even say that we should vote for Joe Biden. She said you should vote for whoever you feel comfortable for. She said, I'm personally going to vote for Joe Biden. So actually, liberals actually misstate what she said, because they were like, "Oh, Angela Davis said you should vote for Joe Biden." She did not say that. She said, "I'm voting for Joe Biden." But anyway, that's beside the point. Angela Davis' point was, if you look at the marijuana charges, they always impact the black community because of windows policing, where they focus the policing on poor neighborhoods. But white families and white people are more likely to use marijuana than we are, and they less likely to get a charge than we are. So our system is built inherently on a racist foundation system that is meant to marginalize black and Latino communities, like it always has been. It's been like that ever since the slave patrols. Ever since they were policing indigenous people. Go ahead, RJ. Go ahead, RJ, and then we do Kamilah.
What I will say is that marijuana has a huge profit motive. So you would think, like we do cigarettes. I mean, if you don't want someone to buy a product, do what we do to cigarettes: tax it to death. So you can put a heavy tax on marijuana. That tax revenue will be allocated back to the state. But the reason why they don't do that is because the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah, amen, brother.
The pharmaceutical industry, a lot of these, mostly Democrats, I will say, are backed by the pharmaceutical industry.
Right.
So the reason why they don't do that is simply because of that. And also, too, if there's no marijuana, how can the cops kill a black man? So it's, a 2 for 1.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kamilah. Right. I think you got interrupted. Go ahead,
Kamilah. And one of the things that I wanted to enter into the conversation was about even the I guess the pressure on black politicians in particular, because I think they also are a part of this whole machine, and us as black people don't even put enough pressure on the black politicians, especially in the Congressional Black Caucus, to be about the issues that we're talking about right now, especially. You know what I mean? It's like, how are you? I constantly be on Twitter. That's why I'm kind of being a hothead on Twitter about just black politicians in general, because I'm like, you're supposed to be the ones representing us the most. I mean, even the whip of the Democratic Party is a black man. How the heck are you not pushing to get these issues front and center and to get these issues handled? And so, when we
pushing it, sorry, not only is he not pushing it, he's advocating for giant police budget as well. Clyburn is. Go ahead, Kamilah.
Right, and then on top of that, he also messes with our elections because he's also been involved with the rigging and stuff like that as well. So it's kind of okay, what are these black politicians really doing? We can talk about, well, we need to have representation in Washington. We need to have more black people in the Senate and in Congress. But what the heck are they doing? The ones that are there.
Heard of step and fetch it.
Yeah. And one thing I will add to that I don't like about the Black Congressional Caucus is that they supported the white guy. They supported the white guy over Jamal Bowman.
Yeah.
People keep forgetting that. And also, to the Black Congressional Caucus, they went after the what's that new Democrat faction? I keep forgetting of. It's not Sunrise. It's the other one. Justice Democrats. There we go. Yeah. They went after Justice Democrats for primarying black congressmen from the Black Congressional Caucus, but the challengers were black. That's how dumb they are.
Yeah. And they literally a lot of them endorse Elliot Engel over Jamal.
That's what I was talking about.
So these people are our enemies, and that's why I really appreciate you bringing that point up, Kamilah, because this is the point I've been making ever since I've been starting recording my podcast. So I said. This is almost a responsibility that black leftists have, because unfortunately, very, very unfortunately, white leftists and white progressives are not allowed to criticize black leadership because it's so easy for the liberal class to deflect that towards racism. So as black leftists, it's our job to hold our black politicians accountable. And our black politicians are exactly the reason why we're in the position we are in right now. Because you have Jim Clyburn they constantly fight against our struggle. Whenever there's a giant struggle like defund the police, Black Lives Matter, Jim Clyburn taking the position of massa. He signed with them over he signed with us. And not only that, if you look at his explanation, not imagine if Jim Clyburn was an intellectual. Go ahead. I don't know that Rome or Nick. But go ahead.
I had some stuff because it was I think part of right, and we've talked about this before. It's the divide between black boomers and black and black millennials, right, and black Gen Xers. And it's just if you look at the Congressional Black Caucus, who are they? They're black boomers, right? And so they're just happy to be there. They're just so happy that they can be the black faces in high places. They're just excited. They're like, hey, look, we're showing we're providing aspiration. We're the figures that people look up to, and so they're happy to do whatever the white politicians ask them as long as they can continue to hold their place because their ego is involved in their place. Their ego is not involved in what they do. What their mindset was in the 1960s and 70s was to push forward legislation for civil rights so that we could get somewhat equal footing. And once that was achieved, they no longer had any real they had no real cause to be there. They were never against police reform. They were never against criminal justice reform. Yeah. They never fought against the war on drugs or any of this. They just got after the 1960s and 70s. They just got to be liberal darlings essentially. Oh, look, we have Jim Clyburn, and we get that's all they got to do for the last 30, 40 years.
And one thing I will add to that is that you're right about the symbolism part. I mean,
let's go Rome and then RJ. Rome and then RJ.
When you really, like, we can't just be black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you black don't mean we alike. Like, I'm pretty sure all of us are different. For real. Like,
we're not a monolith.
But
that's not true, Nick. Joe Biden said we are. He said we're not diverse.
We're a monolith.
And also, none of us are black because we're not voting for him. Just want to throw that out.
You change the name of this podcast.
Right.
But go ahead, Roman.
It used to be black.
I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, that's the representation. So we now when you see us, like, can you imagine any of us being on MSNBC, CNN?
No.
Like,
no.
When they have black people,
I'll go.
The thought of me being on MSNBC is the most hilarious.
So when they,
I want to go up against Darlene Maxwell. Can I do that? Can I go up against Joanne Reed?
Ooh, that would be great.
When they have black progressives on there, it'd be somebody like Baker's, you know what I'm saying, Sellers or some shit, and they paint these people as progressives, but these people, we don't, like, man, I already told this dude, like, man, I can't wait to see you, man. I really can't wait to see you. I'm down to see you like a friend, because I want to punch you, for real. But
I think RJ has
representation, man. Representation is a big word. That's all I wanted to say. That's why we need to make sure that it's not just black people and just black liberals. We have to make sure that, like, man, we got to make sure, like, our kids and all our people in our family hold their votes. Like, do your best to make sure everybody vote forever. Get real representation of.
Amen. What you about to say, RJ?
What I was going to say too is that the Black Congressional Caucus itself. See, remember the report about Nancy and Chuck and the Democrat with Clyburn all kneeling with kente cloth? At first, I thought that was just a Nancy Pelosi thing. But then it turns out the Black Congressional Caucus, let's kneel and wear kente cloth like you see any black people.
Because what you guys are forgetting is the Black Congressional Caucus never left the 80s. Okay, so it doesn't matter what the actual policy is that you push. It's all performative. It's all representational. Throw the black people a bone and they'll keep voting for you. That worked for the boomers. And that's why they're voting Biden. That is not working for millennials and younger, for about half of Gen Z, Gen X. Gen X is split. About half are going boomers and half are going fuck you. I happen to be in the fuck you half. With that, it's honestly, it's a generational thing, and that's you can look at that by the way the primaries went, the way, because I think it was you, wasn't it, Kamilah, who was asking about, like, how did Bernie's votes go? It across the board, with the one exception being Latinos, across the board, Bernie got everybody 45 and under. Biden got everybody 65 and over. The 45 to 65 was split. A lot of it didn't go to either one. It went to one of the other candidates. Exactly. But the majority of people who voted were in either the 45 and under or the 65 and over. And those went to the 65 and over went to Biden. The 45 and under went to Bernie. And in the first 3 states, that was enough.
Exactly.
Right? And that's, I wanted to also inject about, like, black mainstream media, as I call them. And it's funny because there's a lot of people who don't even know about black mainstream media, but people like, like Roland Martin, for example. I mean, he has, like, a huge, following. Before Tom Joyner, retired, he had a huge, black following. Then you got, all these other people who have, like, their podcast and stuff like that. But they're all, like, these, like, black centrist or neo-libs or just straight up libs or whatever. And most black people are listening to these people, not understanding that they're part of these, like, black elites. Well, I call them uppity ass Negroes. Yeah, I do that.
W.B. wrote about that. W.B. Du Bois actually wrote extensively about that. But go ahead, Kamilah.
Yeah, because it's like with these people, they're the ones pumping out the messages to black people, and black people are taking them in. And most of them has been basically about, just vote for Biden because, the Republicans are bad and stuff. And I'm like, wait. You need to look into the skeleton closets of the Democrats that have been against black people as well. And you need to have a balanced and fair discussion about, black issues. I mean, that's why if you see me on Twitter, I'm constantly going after like the Amanda Seals of the world and, Roland Martin and all these blue check blacks. In fact, I call them MAGA blacks. I even had to put that in the hashtag because they all been bootlicking like crazy. They don't
keep going
care
after them.
about our issues.
I think you should keep going after them. I think all of us should go after them because they are.
We all should be going after them, right? We all should be going after them. They should.
If somebody go after DL, somebody
Roman and RJ after that.
I would do it.
Yeah,
man, I swear. I need one of y'all to go after Ricky Smiley and DL Hughley with me. We can do that shit. We can make a perfect video.
Yes, I back you up.
We can make it. We can make some of the boomers uncomfortable. But yeah. I need to talk to DL Hughley like, bro, shut the fuck up, bro. Chill the fuck out. Like, you're going to be good no matter who fucking, bro. And Steve Harvey. Let's not forget him.
I'm going to get into him.
Because he talking about, I was just listening to the radio, right? I'm driving. This nigga talking about, you better vote for Biden. I'm like, nigga, then you just take a picture with Trump.
I hate all our black celebrities. Like I said, I hate celebrity culture, but the exact same reason you guys are talking about, I hate black celebrities more than anything. And if you look, and one of my biggest criticisms of our black leaders and black celebrities in general, because I always talk about this all the time. I'm a big advocate of studying history. I went through a big history stage while I was constantly reading literature of W.B. Du Bois, Malcolm X, and then MLK. And then I remember during this time, it was a few years ago, I was blown away at how the black community rejected them, because me and Jackie talk about this all the time, how my inadequate education led me to believe MLK and Malcolm X were people I didn't know who they actually was. But now that I actually know who MLK was, I am so disgusted with black leadership and black celebrities, because what essentially happened, we can't mince words. We had the black community turn their back on MLK. The black community rejected MLK. Like, I'm tired of people missing words with this shit, and this is why I'm going to war with black liberals. I'm going to war with black neoliberals. I'm going to war with black Democrats, because Barack Obama, if you look at Barack Obama, LeBron James, all these giant black influential figures are doing the exact opposite of what MLK said. MLK was not about these high materialism, and the biggest thing was MLK was an anti-imperialist. And one of the things I hate the most about the Black Congressional Caucus, the Black Congressional Caucus is full with Negroes that are imperialists. Like, I'll go ham on John Lewis, and I will never ever apologize for that, because he was complicit in Libya. He voted against an amendment that had congressional votes that would stop Libya from happening. But he voted against that, so he complicit with that war, just like they all been complicit with wars throughout their entire career. And what was MLK most known for that a lot of people don't want to talk about? I won't say most known for, but a giant part of his career that people ignore. He was a hardcore anti-imperialist. He went against the Vietnam War. He talked about the sins of imperialism. But what happened? Black people completely ignore that. So people ask me all the time, why do I care about ending the war so bad? Why do I care about imperialism? I am a Malcolm X Democrat. I am an MLK Democrat. I am a W.B. Du Bois Democrat. I embrace them. I reject Barack Obama. I reject this new era of black liberalism that is embracing capitalism, and they embracing the imperial state. And that state operates on the same system that oppressed black people. Because what you see happens overseas, when you see how we oppress people in other countries, it's only a matter of time before that comes home. And that's exactly what we've been seeing with the Black Lives Matter protests. And with that said, let me transition this. I'll let you go after this, Jackie, because I saw this video. I've seen this video before, but this is the first time I've seen it in a while. And this is my boy Tupac. I don't know if you guys saw this video, because he was trending the other day because Donald Trump was mocking Kamilah for not supporting him. This is what a real motherfucking black. I think your stream just crashed. Yeah, let me get back up. Let me pull it right back up here. But this is what our black celebrities should be like. Should be like, people look at this clip and they like, man, Tupac was out there, but he was very smart. This should be standard what he's saying right here should be standard across the board for the black community because his parents was raised by Black Panthers. He was about that struggle. Now let's watch the video.
Should be hitting lotto for 36 million, and we got people starving in the streets. That is not idealistic. That's just real. That is just stupid. There's no way Michael Jackson should have, or whoever Jackson should have $1 million, $1 billion, and then there's people starving. There's no way. There's no way that these people should own planes and their people don't have houses, apartments, shacks, drawers, pants. We all know how hard it is, and it's not about if you good or you bad. So since it's not about if you good
Anybody
or you
else
bad,
not hear anything?
that because he don't got don't mean he was bad, or don't mean he's a criminal, or don't mean he's crazy, or
y'all can't hear. Can y'all hear this?
I can hear it. Oh, I can hear it.
All right, let me just go back a little bit.
So since it's not about if you good or you bad, we know that because he don't got don't mean he was bad, or don't mean he's a criminal, or don't mean he's crazy, or a drug addict, or none of that. It just means he don't got. I mean, can you imagine somebody having $32 million? 32 million.
MLK talk about this level of income inequality as well. Let me finish the clip.
$32 million. 32 million dollars, and this person has nothing, and you can sleep, you can still go to the movies. And then these are the type of people that get humanitarian awards. It's too much money.
Damn.
Nobody should.
Bro, imagine if we have black celebrities dropping truth bombs like that. Why the fuck don't we have LeBron James saying shit like this? Why don't we have rappers? I don't really know. Like, I don't listen to a lot of modern rap, honestly. But what we have like our best, like what we have our most popular people out here saying shit like this. To be I give credit to, like, I didn't follow Cardi B at all. Like, I don't know shit about pop culture. I'll tell you, I hate celebrity. I don't follow pop culture. My biggest exposure to Cardi B was when she was supporting the Bernie campaign, and when I heard her literally espousing social view. My respect for her gone up after that. But for the most part, this level of these black superstars, these black celebrities, or black leadership, they're not doing this shit no more. They don't challenge the capitalist system like the way Tupac did. What do you guys think about that clip?
Well, I mean, you also.
That clip was awesome to me because it kind of reminds me of what at least Ice Cube is trying to attempt with this contract with Black America thing, which I thought was refreshing. People went after Ice Cube when he came out on video talking about, well, what do we get? Especially in the first 100 days of an administration, what do we get as Black people to say that you're actually going to be committed to solving our problems and to solving our issues? Like, what do we get economically? He even like drove that home, like, economically, what are you doing that's going to impact Black people? And I'm like, okay, there's someone out there that's willing to challenge the status quo, that's really to say, like, we do need to be demanding. As Black people, we have every right to be demanding about not only what the white politicians do, but what the Black politicians are doing. So if we don't put that equal pressure up, it's hard for us to get anything out of it. Because to be honest, I feel like that if Black America's issues were solved, everybody else's issues would pretty much be solved, including working whites and poor whites and all that stuff. Like, it would hit everyone.
Yeah, that's a
so one thing.
Point. Sorry, I'll make this one point.
The thing with that is it's
a limited thing, like being pro-Black is not a limited thing. Yeah. It hits everyone.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Rome, RJ, and I will make a point. Go ahead, Rome, and then we go RJ.
No,
we don't wrap up here soon.
Yeah, let's wrap up. Go ahead, Rome.
The thing with solving the problem is to make money. Going to be able to, you know what I'm saying, oppress us or, deprive our neighborhoods and make sure we dumb as a brick so we can just work for them, or whatnot, or go to their prisons or whatever system they got set up in our communities. So the problem with giving all you motherfuckers money is we should have never gave you motherfuckers money in the first place. So yeah, all that shit, they ain't trying to solve that shit.
Go ahead, RJ.
They're bomb. They were literally bombs. I don't give a fuck about you.
I guess the biggest problem in the Black community in general is that they teach you from birth till you're adult, in order to survive in America, you got to know how to play the game. And a lot of our Black celebrities do that. I mean, including Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey, he was one of the very luckiest people to come up from a poor background to become a rich man he is today. That's not common for the average black person in America. And just look at the Monique situation. I mean, Monique came to him and said, "Hey, brother, help me out." Because remember, she had that struggle with Netflix. Netflix wanted to pay her millions of dollars less than Amy Schumer, and Monique has more hits, more talk time specials, and then she went to her sister. She went to her black comrade. She went to Steve Harvey. He disrespected her on his own show. Okay, then he's gonna flip out and gonna say, "Well, see, I'm trying to teach you how to play the game and teach you how to get ahead of these white boys," and that's how he got his show canceled. And then Monique, she went to what's her name, Whoopi Goldberg, and Whoopi Goldberg told her, and Whoopi Goldberg is who Monique loved and looked up to. You know what Whoopi Goldberg gonna tell her? Whoopi Goldberg gonna tell her, well, when you get to the situation I'm in, you got to leave those other black folks alone. You got to leave them alone. You got to look out for yourself. So I believe that's a big.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
So
And
yeah.
That's such a problem with our black elites, and this is why I despise them. I hate people that elevate them. And
Yeah.
I want to prop up one more last thing. We don't wrap up here very soon. Kamilah made an amazing point on how if you uplift the black community, you uplift everyone else. And this is what this is a big part of what would drive me crazy with a lot of people during the course of the primary. A lot of black voters, they'll say, "Oh, you don't have a black agenda. Bernie Sanders don't have a black agenda." There's no better black agenda than Medicare for all. I mentioned countless times who get the most,
Green
who
New Deal.
suffer the most under medical debt. We do. We pay the most under healthcare. Who paid the most for student loans? We do. Who will benefit the most from a living wage? We would. So we have a lot of idiots, a lot of black liberals who are leading us off the cliff, and a lot of idiots who like, oh well, you can't. You got a lot of white progressives who want to support Medicare for all, but they're not supporting the black agenda. Motherfucker, that is a black agenda. And the fact that you guys don't understand that is the reason why we are whole back to this point right now. And that's why that's an amazing point. That's an amazing point that Kamilah put in place, because if we implement these policies, once again, not only black families benefit from that, you got poor working whites, poor Latinos, and poverty breeds extremism. We have the highest level of income inequality ever. We have an American dream that is dead, and you have liberals asking why there's white supremacists and crazy motherfuckers everywhere. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're doing class reduction." No, that's a fucking fact. Like, income inequality, poverty is directly linked to extremist ideology. So when you see the governor of Michigan about to be kidnapped, when you see the Proud Boys acting up, when you see the rise of white supremacy, when you see that video that crackhead white girl talking about how niggers this, nigger that, like, you can tell that she was poor. Look at her car. Look how she lived. And then people doctor, they were like, she was a struggling stripper. Like, that shit not an accident. Do you really think that, like, there is a good chance that she still will be arrested, but if these people have better economic opportunities and they're able to expand their horizons and travel, the chances of that is significantly less. And this extremist ideology, white supremacy, is a direct consequence of the failure of capitalism, the failure to take care of our people, and now we are divided. Like, that's just my theory, and I don't understand why people would just call that class or race reduction. It don't make no sense.
I mean, I agree. I agree with you 100%. I mean, if you look at the wealth inequality, I mean, America right now, the wealth inequality is worse than the Gilded Age. That was in the 1890s when you had the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, and you had the Vanderbilts. And then they said too, it could be as worse as ancient Egypt. I mean, if you look at the wealth situation today, you got Jeff Bezos. He can make more money than John D. Rockefeller. Okay, John D. Rockefeller, he made up to $400 billion in his entire life. Okay, Andrew Carnegie, he made 300, and they're the wealthiest men in American history.
Insanity. Anyway, once again, we can call it. We about 1 hour and 40 minutes in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave all I'm gonna cut this up. You just see this on YouTube as well. I appreciate everyone watching the stream here. We be here every Friday, and I think we have Monica, the Black Bernie Babe from Twitter. She should be coming in next. We should be coming. She'll be in next Friday.
Yes,
Ashley
Monica.
Stevens gonna be in 2 weeks from now. But
Awesome.
you guys, I know RJ and Kamilah are new. You guys are always welcome. Like, if you guys are available, and I know Nick can make it, which is perfectly okay, because the whole point is, if you can't make it, that's fine. We got a rotation of black leftists, and we all give each other voices. Well, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. If you did, please.
Can I end it on?
Go ahead, Jackie. I'll give you the last word. Go ahead.
Jackie.
What happened?
Jackie.
Did your mic cut out?
Yeah. I will wait here.
I'm that I'm here because I'm a fan of this. I've been a fan since day one, and so like to be on with you guys, I'm like so grateful and thankful to be around you.
No, I'm glad
Thanks for
you
coming.
killed it. You killed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know what happened to Jackie.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Jackie, tweet your last words, okay? Just whatever you had to say, just tweet it. We'll
put it
retweet
in the
it.
chat. If you can't see it, put it in the chat.
We'll retweet it, all right?
But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please follow me if you haven't already. Check out the Progressive Martial Arts on YouTube as well.